And so if you do a show now, like how many minutes do you do
Depends
generally?
on the show. I mean, I can do about 15 comfortably. I can stretch to 20, but I really don't have more than about 20 minutes worth of material. Unless I do like literally everything I've ever written, good, bad, or ugly,
Right. Yep.
but more likely it's going to be more like 7 minutes. And I guess I don't know, like I um, I could feel weird about that, but then I recently saw a thing like it was a memory that another stand-up comic had posted from some festival, and it was like all these big name comics, and they all had 15-minute sets, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, if they can do 15 minutes, then I'm okay. That's all right. I mean, sure, they have specials and all that sort of stuff, but it takes a good year to build up 20 minutes of
Yeah.
material at first until you get really good at writing and
Right.
get a sort of a thing going, and then you can do a little faster, but it takes a while.
And do you have to bring a lot of gear for those
I have to
gigs?
bring no gear, which is what makes it even better.
Yeah.
I mean, like now in the era of COVID, a lot of people do haul their own mic with
Yeah.
them,
Yeah. Well,
and
yeah.
I might start doing that
I
too.
would
I
do
mean,
that. Yeah.
the shows I've been going to, I haven't done a lot of shows either. I think I've only done like 3 shows since COVID broke
Yeah.
out, and all of them went through extremely, like deep measures to like they have like 3 mics that they're swapping
Yeah.
and they're cleaning them in between comics, and
Yeah.
so they've really been very careful about it, but still there's a certain comfort in like, nah, I'm good. Pull your own mic out and handle it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's an easy thing to switch.
totally, yeah.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Like, think of a gig you showed up to where you didn't have to bring any gear, and you had to play for 15 minutes.
So good. I mean, I don't make any money either, but
Yeah, right, right. But I mean, but you get those butterflies, so it fires
yeah,
you up, and it's something you want to do regardless.
it's such a blast. I mean, I just did a show recently, and it was so fun because it was like this outdoor show at a winery, and it was like this like panorama of people, so you had to kind of keep moving while you were talking. And I just remember that like there was this table like not that far away from me, like right in front, and there was this like big burly dude, and I just remember like I looked up. I usually like I get a little nervous and I get like I don't know like anxiety or something when I look people in the eye sometimes, so it makes it tricky. But remember, I was like looking around the crowd and I happened to catch this guy's eyes, and like he just had this look in his face, like he was hanging on every word I was saying. He's
Yeah,
like he's nodding and the whole thing, and I was like, oh my god, he's in it. Look at
yep,
him.
yep. You got him. Yeah, that's
I got him. It was delightful because then he laughed in the right places and the whole thing,
yep.
and it was like, all right, I'm
That's
maybe okay with this. I
yeah,
don't know.
cool. Well, maybe in like 2 years, I'll be texting you. Hey, can I open?
Can I open for you?
Can I open?
Can I open your special?
Like, yeah, you're like, nope, sorry, I've made it.
I got Mulaney opening for me.
All right, let me check out. Oh, I always like to ask this question too because it's some good stories.
Mhm.
Back to the performance aspect.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm gonna do. I always like to ask worst and best gigs, and it could be a type of gig or a specific gig. But let's start with the worst gig. Do you have a one you could point out as an example as the worst ever?
Yes.
I think I know of one that might be, but
Oh, really? I
maybe
don't
not.
know because this was pre you.
Okay,
Like
okay.
you didn't know me when this
Yep,
happened, but I'd be interested to find out what you
all
thought
right.
it was.
Yep.
But I think the one of the worst shows I ever did was I played in a band in Pennsylvania called Eastern Smile. It was like an original band. We did some covers and stuff like that. There were 9 people in the band. We had like a horn section, we had a percussionist, 2 guitar players, the whole thing. Like it was a giant band, right? And we played at a place in Northeast Pennsylvania that had 3 people in it all night. So there are more people in the band
Yep.
than there are in the audience. It was super depressing. I mean, it was like real because I think we had just put out an album
Yeah.
and everything, and it was like we thought we were pretty hot shit, and then
Yes.
like yeah, and I really I believe my timing might be totally off on this, but I think like not a few weeks before that was our CD release party, which was packed. I mean, like
Yeah.
everybody was there, and it was like standing room only, and we felt like rock stars. And
Yeah.
then, like a scant 3 or 4 weeks down the road, we're playing for three people who are not paying any attention to us, by the way, at all.
Yeah. Where'd everybody go?
It's like, where's all our
Yeah.
fans, man? So yeah, that's probably up there for worse. I don't know. What did you think it was?
Well, I've had lots of those kind of gigs where you drive a long way and set up all the stuff and there's nobody. But it was a New Year's Eve. I wasn't there for this one, but I heard about it. I think a New Year's Eve gig with my
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty bad too. That was
Yeah, I remember
four songs.
Adam telling me that story. I'm like, that's just bizarre.
Yeah, what do we played? I think 4 songs, maybe five, and they're like, "All right, you're done." It's like- and that was even worse because
And they sought
now
you
that I
out.
think about it,
They sought him out to hire him too.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. But I just realized that was worse because at least I could see the three people in the audience at that first show that I was talking about. In this one, they were around the corner, so I was literally playing to an empty room, and it was
Yeah.
like, what am I doing? And then they threw us out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting booking for sure.
That was wild. Yeah, that was a bad night too. You're not wrong.
Okay. What about one of your favorite gigs?
Whew. I feel fortunate that I have choices. Really, it's not like so much a stroll down memory lane and oh yeah, that one, like kind of with the bad one. But boy, I don't know.
Or if you
I
can,
would have to.
or if you can
Oh, go ahead.
think of one, like if you can think of one, it could be any of them. Like what was cool about it? Because probably I've had a lot of good ones, so it's hard to think of the best.
I think like there's a couple of them that are sort of in the same like sort of genre of opening band spots, which usually suck. But like I've been really lucky to play with a couple of really really good bands that were opening in situations where they're like people were already kind of keyed up anyway, so they kind of like let that gave us some of it too.
Yeah.
And two in particular, I'm thinking of when I was in Shotgun Soul. We played a show at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit. We were opening for the Infatuations, who were opening for Ty Stone.
Okay.
And huge crowd, and we're on stage at St. Andrews Hall. Where I'd been to 100 shows at St. Andrews. Well, maybe not 100, but you know what I'm saying. I've been to a lot of shows as an audience member at St. Andrews Hall, and I'm standing on stage at fucking St. Andrews Hall.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is amazing, and then people are freaking out, and you're like, what is my life right now? What's going on? And then similarly, we playing in a band called the Social Bandits. We opened for Lil Dicky at Oakland University. And it was like this big outdoor festival thing. And it was like, I think there were like 1,500 people at the show. And it was literally like, they hit the lights and you just see like heads as far as you can see, basically. And we opened and they loved us. They completely freaked out. Yeah. And I play a solo and they like, yeah, and it's like, it felt really good.
Yeah.
To do that, and I feel like that we fed into that a little bit, so we played a little harder than we usually do.
Yep.
And it was a great night. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, with the crowds worked up, you get it's get you going.
Yeah.
Energy goes back and forth. I lost my place here. I had a really good question. Let's see here. That was the best gig, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much a tie between those two because but there's been so many. I've been really lucky to play with so many cool people and in so many cool places, and it would, you know, my answer might be totally different tomorrow.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
just think about something else or whatever. Like I've had a lot of really cool. Well, actually, it reminds me of another story. Actually,
Yeah, sure.
um, so I think in that same wheelhouse, I we used to have this thing in Erie. That's where I grew up, in Erie, Pennsylvania. We used to have this thing called First Night Erie on New Year's Eve, where you buy like one ticket for whatever it was at the time. I think it was like $30, which in 1990 dollars was a lot or
Yeah. Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
and you could go to all these different places and see all the stuff, and you know, it was a really fun night. It was really cool. And my friend Paul played bass, probably still does. And he actually played with Donnie Iris and the Cruisers, and like, and you wouldn't know it by meeting him. He's this really kind of quiet dude, and he played cello. That's how I knew him, as a cello player.
Yeah.
He's a bass player, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, man, we're having this blues jam at First Night Year. You want to come? You want to play it?" I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah." And it's like, okay, it's at the Warner Theater, which is like this big downtown
Yeah.
theater. But he was so like cash about it and so like laid back that it was like, oh, it must just be like a little
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah. The lobby.
whatever, no big deal, right? So I get there with my girlfriend at the time, and we were running late because we always ran late to everything. And I come backstage, and it's like it's dark, it's kind of quiet, and then there's a guy like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Paul, bass player, told me you could jam." And he was like, "All right, well, after this song, we're gonna, you know, it's like get your stuff together, and then after the song's over, we'll bring you out on
Yeah.
stage." And I was like, "Okay," like I'm going, what's going on here? So they, you know, I get my horn together really fast, and they haul, like he's like, "All right, go," you know, like
Wow.
rushes me out on stage, and it, like I come out on stage and realize the Warner Theater is full,
Wow.
and I'm like, "What the fuck?" You know, like, and there's all these like heavy hitter players in Erie, like all these like really well known players are on stage. And they're all looking at me like, "Who is this guy?" Right? And they just kind of went with it. I'm sure, you know, that was easier than throwing me out of off stage. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So they call blues. Now, fortunately, it's all blues,
Right. Yeah.
so I made it really easy to play. But you know, like the first song happens, and like we kind of make up a horn part.
Right.
So there's another saxophone player, of course. And so we kind of make up a horn part and kind of jive, and it's pretty cool. And then another song goes by, and they throw me a solo. So I'm like, oh god, here we go, because I'm like, I think I was 19
Okay.
when
Yeah.
this
You're
happened,
young,
or
yeah.
like 20. I was barely old enough to shave
Yeah.
when I played this gig. And so I play solo, and everybody's like, "Rah!" And I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Somebody says like a casual blues jam. You just think it's like a living room session or like just a.
Sure, I thought it was just gonna be a bunch of dudes standing around itching their bellies, you know, whatever. Like,
Wow.
I didn't think it was gonna be a big deal, even though it was at the Warner. I should have put something together then.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's not, whatever. And yeah, it was amazing, but I was terrified when I stepped on stage because I had no idea what to expect, right?
Well, you mentioned St. Andrew's Hall. I played. I have a different St. Andrew's Hall story.
Oh yeah.
I did play there like last year.
Mhm.
But I bet my experience was totally different. We played for it was a software company's corporate party, and we played for like it was long tables, and they're having dinner
Yeah.
in that room. Can you imagine that? And like a not
What band were you playing with?
Sukali.
Sukali, yeah. Okay.
And like not that long before, we saw Beats Antique there, and it, like the room was shit. The whole foundation was shaking with bass, and people was packed. And then we played the dinner. Definitely a different experience, but it was cool to play that room. It was really
I've done enough of those too, where it's just like nobody is listening. You
Yeah.
can be doing whatever, you know. It's those that one of my heroes is the guy who used to play piano at Weber's Inn.
Okay.
Somebody different now. I think it's Will Bennett plays there now, but there was this tall dude that was with shaved head, and I loved like listening to him play because he would throw crazy shit in
Mhm.
his set. He'd be playing, you know, just like loungy piano, and I'd be there with a band setting up in the Habitat Lounge or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'd be listening and it'd be like, wait a minute, I know that song. Like, I think the first time I caught him, quote unquote, he was playing "Paranoid" by Black Sabbath,
Okay.
and it was just like, wait a minute, na 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 na.
Yeah.
What is he doing? And then I'm like, all right, I gotta pay attention to this guy because he's doing some things. And
Yeah.
he played a Soundgarden set
Oh,
one
that's cool.
night. He did like a whole half hour of Pink Floyd
Yeah, I would dig to
one
hear that.
night.
Yeah.
And I went up to him one night when I was there, and I'm just like, I've been listening to you. I know what you're doing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I did. I had a lot of those. I had a lot of restaurant gigs where I knew I was background music, and I knew I was just there to provide ambience. So towards the end of the night, I just throwing like random stuff.
Oh yeah,
Fun.
nobody's listening. Nobody cares.
Yep.
It's a little disappointing, but because you want to get caught, kind of, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I had these cool. I couldn't sing these tunes, so I had these chord melody arrangements for like Thriller, like you mentioned Thriller earlier,
yeah,
and just pop tune, Aha's Take on Me,
nice.
and just fun stuff like that. See who noticed it.
Yeah, that's fun. I've gotten to do a little of that myself. Like I played piano for a wedding one time, just like dinner music, and I just learned a bunch of crazy stuff. Like I learned Versace on the Floor by Bruno Mars,
Okay.
just to see if anyone would notice, and like
Yeah.
I played a couple of Mr. Rogers tunes because I just it was
Yeah.
like just seeing if anybody would call me out, basically.
Yeah. If I was there, I hear that. I would definitely hear that stuff. I would dig it. Like I would get interested
Like,
all of a sudden. Yep.
mm.
Well, so some of these, I have a few more questions here. Some of these I like to always get in just because I like other musicians to hear it. But I'm going to combine these two. I've asked a lot of these people that. But as far as music is something that's fun to play with other people, right? And sometimes when you're in a band, like I'm lucky I've got along with all the people I played with, but there have been moments on the road, sometimes in the RV. But I was wondering if you could describe some of the qualities you see in an ideal musician or an ideal bandmate, somebody to play music with.
That's a great question. There's a lot, obviously. I mean, like it's fun to play with the best people you can play with, like the most skilled and most interesting players. But I think beyond that, like it's really important to find people that you like and get along with to play with. I guess it's one thing if if you want to be the next big thing, or like you're really trying to like take over whatever the music industry is anymore. Then you can kind of put up with people's crap a little bit more as sort of like a means to an end.
Yeah.
But if you're just playing like in town or whatever, which 99% of us, that's what we're doing, you might as well have fun. So you should be with fun people that are easy to work with and can take criticism or can take, suggestions well, and with a spirit of like, best intent, I guess is the best way I could put it. And I love playing with people that make weird choices when they play and do weird things, because it gives you the springboard to do your own weird things when you're playing. Like I love it when people throw some curveball in, like if somebody says who you're playing solos with. One of my favorite people to play with actually was Ralph Armstrong, as a bass player in Detroit.
Oh, I opened with he was a band. Yeah, he was amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a maniac, and he like when he solos, like you never know what's gonna come out. Yep. He was played like Popeye the Sailor Man in the middle of like solo time or something. Like, and he just throws this crazy stuff in, and it's hard not to respond to that. It's really easy to blow it off if like somebody's playing the same lick that they've played 100 times.
Yep.
In a night, even really.
Yeah.
But when somebody just goes completely left field and throws some weird ass thing in, you're like, that's gonna go somewhere.
Yep.
It's interesting. And you may be the only people that enjoy it. Like your audience might be like, what are these guys doing? But sometimes it's fun to just take those hard left turns and just go into Weirdsville. That's sort of fun.
Yeah, I like doing that. I sometimes I do it. And I'm like, I get the look.
Yep.
I just want to try. I just want to try it out.
Yeah, I've a couple of those shows that I've done, like with Adam, when he's done those shows at Connor O'Neill's for different artists and stuff like that. That and I remember there was one night I was playing with him, and I just like I wanted to see how out I could play on piano and still kind of be sort of in, kind of like what's the weirdest thing I could play. And it's nice to have people that'll accommodate you and
Yeah.
allow you to do that, and then ask you to play with them again. Oddly enough.
Yeah, I mean, I always look when somebody does that, they start to go out. I always like, how can I support this outness? And
Mhm.
I kind of try to accompany it without, like I can still keep it out,
Yeah.
but kind of hold it. And I like to do that quite a bit, especially in soloing. Just kind of go off key for a little bit.
Mhm.
You got to practice it to know when to bring it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
To bring it back smoothly, without just sort of being like, "Well, that was fun. Well, let's go back to the real thing." Like whatever. It's a bit of an art, and it's gone south more times than it's gone well
Yep.
for me, I think.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun to try anyway.
Yep. I love taking chances with music, and there's 12 notes, so you can do anything you want with them. Every song and the music that's ever made, the 12 notes. So why not be creative
Yeah.
with it? 12, right?
Yeah, it's something like that. 12-ish.
And there's bends and stuff like that, quarter tones. But all right. Oh,
Means? Is that what they're called? Like that bend in the portmanteau and in Indian vocals. Mean? I think it's
yeah.
where they're like, like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's Gomics and Eanes. Yeah, there's a guy out of Chicago, I think, who plays, and he has a good YouTube series for a guitarist
Oh,
that explains all those things. And he has a guy in guitar doing it, and he's saying it like he says it, and he goes, "Oh, so it'd be like this, like a hammer on." Yeah, it makes it really understandable for us guitarists. Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of the same techniques for sure. I printed out a bunch of questions from a music education website, but I think everything you said, these questions would be just pointless because you said it.
okay.
It'd be an academic exercise because
I mean, I got a master's degree, so I'm all about academic exercises.
these are all pretty. I think the questions that I asked like summarized all these. These were just example questions.
Sure.
Yep. I'm just going to make sure there's not one that jumps out at me as extra cool. Oh, how will you manage and protect the school's equipment? Just kidding. See what I mean? They're kind of that way. It's like somebody who's doing it right, right now today. Yeah. So there's a lot of music teachers who are like at my son's school. It may be the same in other schools in the county, but no singing, no moving, no instrument play, and I think remote instruction from the music room to the class via screen. So like that, the person at my son's school, it's her first year, so she's stepping into. It's not what she trained to do, right? For sure.
Right.
Yep. She'll get it. Well, like a lot of these things that teachers are creating now because they have to go virtual. I'm telling them like, you're going to have this now. So you can always use it. You might have to tweak it and stuff, but every year you're going to have this material that you can curate and use in different classes. And it's kind of like bringing the guest musician in. You're bringing in all this extra stuff related to what you're teaching.
Totally. And even though the circumstances might change, like, at some point, hopefully, we're not, trying to manage a pandemic, but the things that you did during that are still valuable and they're still cool. So,
Yep. And it's making people create more stuff that's going to be available too.
Totally.
I had one. Oh yeah. I'll have one last question. You're cool to go for one more question?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I try to keep these. Yeah. Plus my hard drive is getting full. I just here. I got a spare one just in case it doesn't fit. So,
Wix.
yeah, I've been doing transfers all day. I had to buy a new hard drive. I filled up the video. Like,
Yeah.
I'll buy a 2 terabyte hard drive full. Oh, I got to get another one full. It's crazy.
Yarg.
Okay, so I was wondering right now, like, you're probably not gigging a lot right now, and I know you're doing comedy and stuff, and people aren't doing a lot of musical pursuits, but maybe before March or looking forward, I just wondered, like, more recently, who are some of the main musicians you're playing with? Like when you're like just friends and friends.
Well, honestly, actually, I'm not playing a lot. Actually, even prior to the pandemic, I kind of stepped back quite a bit from playing live. And it was kind of like I've been sort of in this like reevaluation phase.
Right.
Like, what am I doing with music? Like, why am I doing this? And what do I want to do?
Yeah.
More importantly, so I've been kind of turning the boat slowly towards composition and recording, and I've got a couple of projects that are kind of fun. One's been on the burner for a while, and we're kind of slowly making progress because that's how these things go. But I'm working with a couple friends of mine who wrote a like kind of a musical, or not a musical, but they've written like an episodic thing. It was supposed to be a TV show, and now I think we're going to do it as a podcast, sort of a thing.
Okay.
That's basically like a how do I put it exactly? It's kind of like Waiting for Guffman, sort of like a community theater kind of mockumentary sort of a deal. And they're the show that they're working on is called Jonestown the Musical. So as in like Reverend Jim Jones.
Yeah.
So my job is I have to write Jonestown the Musical because there's going to be a real Jonestown the Musical at the end of it that we're going to perform, sort of like in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when they did The Day Man Cometh, or The Night Man Cometh, and there's actually like a show in the show. So I've been kind of slowly churning on that, like what that's going to sound like, what's going to look like, not even look like so much, but what that's going to be. And then a good sort of a new friend of mine, a guy named Andy Reid, who's a record producer in Saginaw, and he worked with a friend of mine, Amy Petty, on her album, which is fantastic. I was kind of grousing about, heck, I don't even know why I make music anymore. Maybe I should just sell all my stuff and blah, 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 blah. And he was kind enough to reach out and say, well, send me some of your songs. And I was like, okay, all right, whatever. So I sent him some tunes. And in like a week or so, he came back and he's like, "This is really good. You should do this." He's like, "You should make something," because he's like, "You've got some good songs. I can hear what you're doing." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I think you should do something with it." So I've been like kind of riding on Andy's advice a little bit and thinking about, well, maybe I could take a few. I've got these songs out there, and then maybe I could write a couple more, and then I would have like an EP. And so I've been really putting a lot of thought into that because I just got kind of bored of playing covers.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And really needed the juice of like original material. And I figure like if I do something that's kind of stupid but fun.
Yeah.
And good. I mean, that's the trick, is that with like Jonestown the Musical, it has to be good enough that people want to listen to it.
Yeah.
But not so good that it isn't funny.
Right.
It's got to be kind of funny. Right. So, and then do something, maybe it's a little more like, not serious, but more, I don't know, pure in its intent.
Right. Yeah.
Like just trying to make good songs, basically.
Right, yeah.
So that's what I've been kind of thinking about. I mean, I might do some wedding shows with Social Bandits, who have kind of gone from being an originals band, the grind and the thankless task of being an originals band, to, hey, we can make money playing weddings. Let's do that. We really like playing together, but we're tired of doing that. So let's make money now.
Yeah.
They want me to do some saxophone with them. They were supposed to do a wedding with them a couple weeks ago, but wasn't able to because it was in Ohio. And I currently work at a university where if I went out of state, I would have to quarantine for 14 days.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah, that's not worth it.
that didn't work out.
Yeah. Those are some of the things about playing gigs that are annoying. Like the recording and composing is the really fun stuff.
Mhm.
If you're with a band and you're jamming and that's a great performance, that's fun. But like the really pure things, those things are things I enjoy too, just creating.
Yeah.
And I like creating with a little humor. Did they write that show yet? Did they write the actual?
Oh yeah. The script is completely written.
Okay.
Everything is written except Jonestown the musical. And now we have to figure out like what's that look like?
Yeah.
What does that sound like? What's that going to be? Like is there a particular style that we're going to do? Or I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about it because I know what I'd want to do, and yet I don't know that it fits the narrative of this is a dumpy little community theater in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, like I don't want to just be a crappy musical. I want it to be good.
Well, you definitely have a lot of options, like for the mood.
Oh yeah, totally. I was thinking about trying to make it like a panoply of different musical styles. Do like the big rousing rock musical number, and then maybe try a rap like a la Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's really terrible because it's a bunch of suburban white people.
Yeah. So it's a comedy, right?
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. It's pretty funny. So yeah, and we're definitely playing the Jonestown the musical card for laughs.
Yeah. And
in there. So that's I'm pretty excited about that. It's gonna be fun.
Those folks drank Kool-Aid at the end, right?
Yes.
You're not having like the Kool-Aid guy break through the screen at the end and go, "Oh yeah."
It's not a bad idea, actually.
Family Guy.
I wish they were the ones that wore the sneakers and the outfits because I could definitely have a through line for that, that you can just kind of weave through the whole thing. But I don't know. But yeah, the Kool-Aid man, that's kind of a just throw an "oh yeah" in there and see if anybody catches it.
Yeah. All right, cool, Daryl. Well, I'm probably going to go up and get my son to bed here. He probably should be in bed already.
Absolutely.
But I thank you so much for joining me today and chatting with me.
Of course, my pleasure.
And hopefully I'll have you back sometime when we can get together in the same room and you can actually play a horn without a mask, and just
that'd be awesome.
Like I wanted to do it so we can jam in the same room, and maybe have a couple people at the same time, just have a little fun time to shoot video while we're goofing off playing music.
That'd be super cool. I love that.
All right, cool. Well, thanks a lot for joining me. Thanks for staying late. And have a great night, Daryl. Thank you. Take care.
You too. Absolutely. Thanks, Dan.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right, Cubbyhole, how's it going tonight? Tell you what, you guys are lucky you only had to fold towels. There's a vacuum cleaner back there. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. That's pretty nuts. So I've been watching this new show on Netflix, this Marie Kondo show. You know the one I'm talking about? The one where you're like, she comes in and she teaches people how to declutter their houses. She's an expert in decluttering. And she's like, I think she's an elf. I'll be honest with you. I think she's an elf. She's she's magical. She's cute. She's like this tall. Like she could live in one of those those little Tykes plastic houses that you have in your backyard. And it's amazing. So what she does is she comes into a house with a family and starts showing them how to declutter by taking every piece of everything they have in their house, all their possessions. And if they don't fill them with a sense of joy, they're supposed to get rid of them. They only keep things that fill them with a sense of joy. I said, okay, that makes sense. I think I want to try that. So I think I learned that I have I might have clinical depression, guys, because my house is now completely empty. Nothing in it. My poor neighbors, I'm standing out on the patio throwing things out the window going, no joy! No joy! No joy! And it's just all falling down. It was not a good scene. So it looks like we all survived the holidays, yes? Yeah. Do you have nice holidays? It's great, New Year's and Christmas and everything. Man, Christmas stresses me out. Does it stress you out?
No.
It doesn't? Really? I get so stressed out over gifts. Not giving them, I mean getting gifts. I get so stressed out about what I'm going to get for Christmas, I got a weird gift this year. My parents bought me an apron. Strange gift, but that's not the weirdest part about it, because they didn't just give me like a Food Network like friendly kind of an apron, like, oh, I'm going to cook this for you now. They got me a black ankle length vinyl, like I'm doing a shift at the slaughterhouse apron. This is not the look, I mean, this is a sinister looking thing. I'm trying to date, I just met somebody. Can you imagine inviting them over for dinner, opening the door, I've got this like, good evening, and there's no furniture in my house. This doesn't look good for me. This is not a good thing, just not good at all. Yeah, so, dating's kind of weird. I'm not going to do a ton of online dating jokes because they're kind of hacky. But one thing I do want to say is that when you do that, they sometimes ask you for your body type. And I have some self-esteem issues. Like they'll ask you what your body type is. Are you thin? Are you athletic? Are you overweight? I put United States of America down for that. Because the further south you go, the weirder it gets. It's not great. I call this foot the Florida Panhandle. It's kind of musty. It's got kind of a strange odor, and I'm pretty sure there's something living going on in there. That's not great. But I've had a little more success recently. I was talking to a woman, getting to know her, and I found after a little bit of conversation, I was showing her how to piggyback pain medications like Advil and Tylenol. I'm almost 45 years old. Does that qualify as having game? I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure how that works out. But is that a sign or something? Did I make somebody mad? I don't know. What's going on, Dave? Are we all right?
Power of the light switch.
Power of the light switch. Self-esteem is always an issue. I have really great friends, and they're very supportive, and they come up with some great suggestions. One of them they gave me was that I should go out shopping to buy some new clothes. I said, that sounds like a great idea. So I went out, I found this shirt, absolutely loved it, bought it, found it in my size, bought it, took it home, started to try it on, and the buttons were a little on the tight side. So I looked at the label. I wear a double XL, and this was a slim fit double XL shirt. Slim. I'm neither one of those things. Why would I want a slim fit dress shirt? I don't know. I think I've caught the wave of the future though, as far as virtual dating goes on. How many people have Netflix? Yeah. Netflix folks in the audience. Pretty much everybody has Netflix. Why don't they use Netflix as a dating app? I mean, like, I've spent 3 weekends in a row watching Bob Ross over and over and over again. I'm sure they could probably go into their database and kind of go, so, sir, there happens to be this person, her name's Cindy, she lives about 10 blocks away, and she's watched 5 seasons of the Great British Bake Off in the last 2 weeks. Maybe you guys should go out of the house, go out for coffee, or something like that. Hey, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much. I'm Daryl Bean. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show.